Hey guys, in this video we're going to take a look at the transitional effects. Let's just go. Okay, so there's not a huge amount to look at here, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to say that I spoke to Clark, the vocalist, and he just used an SM7B microphone and a basic Focusrite 18i20 audio interface. So nothing amazing, all affordable home stuff. So if you can sing, you got the gear, just give it a go. It's not difficult. Well, it is. You have to know what you're doing. Anyway, transitional effects. Right, so we've been looking at this section here, up to the break, verse, chorus, intro, verse, chorus, break. So the channels I want to look at are down here. It's all these ones. These ones here. Come on, mouse. What's wrong? So starting out at the very beginning of the track, we've got this. I've left the sample names on the channel, actually. I could have renamed them. So we're looking at this reverse sweep from UFX2. Is that? Yeah, UFX2. So it starts off like this. And then we're going into another UFX2 sample, which is Crash 04. So it's up sweeps, crash, up sweeps, crash. Then further along in the track, when we go from the intro to the first verse, we've got the same pair of samples here, an up sweep and a crash. But I've also introduced this other, what is this, a big reverb hit from UFX2 as well, which is this. And I'm using this as a kind of a pre-effect. So this hit happens on the last bar of this section. So have a listen. So instead of it happening at the beginning of the bar, it kind of emphasizes that this is something's going to happen. I quite like doing that sometimes. I think it's quite effective. And then the last thing I've got going on here is some toms. Now, interesting thing about the toms, I've taken this from a project that I've been playing with in the background as well. But if you look at the Sonic Academy samples, let me show you exactly where I got this from. So I found this in the synthwave sample pack, but it's not in the one-shot drums. So in the one-shot drums, you've got claps, hats, kicks, open hats, and snares. But I actually found it in the drum kits. And if you come into the drum rack kits, samples imported, there are some toms down at the bottom here. And I used that one. I had to do a bit of detective work to find that. But really all I've done is I've put the tom hits in, where are they? So they're put into a sampler so that I could play them on whichever note I wanted. And I've pushed them through the vocal reverb, and there is a drum reverb channel that I've got as well. And I should have mentioned this, the hi-hats are going through this drum reverb as well, and it's just a fat drum studio on hybrid reverb, and I've just taken out a little bit of the bottom end. It's very subtle. In fact, let's have a listen to it. Let's listen to these toms. If I push this all the way up, so it's almost like a plate, a bit of a plate reverb. And then I've put it through the vocal reverb as well. So all together, this transition here, we've got the big sweep, the crash, the pre-crash, and the toms. So that transitions from one part to another. And then coming over to the break, we've got the same thing happening here. But I left the toms out. Toms are something that I think you should be used sparingly because they're quite cheesy. So I use them as little as often, but when I do use them, I like them to try and have a bit of an impact. They're there to emphasize a big change, I think. And for me, the big change from intro to first verse, they were worth having there. I've used them once again at the end of the break, which we'll have a look at in a second. So there's another crash that I've introduced at the start of the break as well. So let's have a listen to this. So we've got the normal reverse, the normal crash, and then I've got this other crash happening down here, which is also from... This is from UFX this time, Crash 08. So it's the first Ultimate Effects from Sonic Academy.
Where will you go today?
Listen to this. So it's another kind of big noisy thing in the background.
Where will you go today?
So this reverse and crash that I've used so far, it's been at the transition of every change. So intro to verse, verse to chorus, chorus to break. But in the break, I'm kind of doubling or even quadrupling doubling the speed at which these things come in and out. So it's quite nice to have these big reverby reverses and crashes in the break with all the other elements because it adds to this dreamy wash of sound feeling. So let's have a listen to it overall.
Where will you go today?
So now it's coming in again. So the reverse with the FM riser, and we've got the toms coming in again.
Lifting off
And that's pretty much it. There is one other effect I've got, this sweep up, which is in the second verse, but we're going to have a look at that when I do the track layout, because the nature of these vocals is I've got verse, chorus, and some ad-libs. So the vocal structure is actually quite rigid. Verse, chorus, verse, chorus. So I've used a couple of tricks to differentiate the first verse and chorus from the second verse and chorus. But we're going to have a look at that when I do the track layout video, which probably be next. Yeah, I think that'll be next. So I'll see you there.